Okay, welcome to Lesson 5 in the Kindergarten Try 1 Earth Science Unit. You can see we're back here on our flow chart, and this is where the students are actually testing the investigation that you designed in the previous lesson. So, pretty simple here as far as the lesson plan. They're just going to go out and collect data. So a lot of this lesson is going to be on you and your classroom management, talking to your students about on-task behavior, maybe even giving them roles of, having an order of who touches the soil in the sand or in the sun first, and then maybe everybody touches the one in the sun first, and then you take turns of going to the soil. I'll kind of leave that up to you, to how you run your class and your decision on how they're going to do that. But the goal is to have everybody go out and touch all of the materials in the in the sun and in the shade. It would also be important to, like I've said earlier, I would do multiple, like maybe get them in groups of 3 or 4 and have, depending on your class size, 5 or 6 bowls of sand in the sun and 5 and 6 bowls of sand in the shade. So you have smaller groups. I do want to pull up the thinking logs, and we have a couple different things here, and you can kind of decide the route you go. We just kind of printed these for multiple different ways you could go. So if you had 3 stations and you had the sand, and down here is kind of them observing it. This is what the materials look like. Other things I noticed about the material were this. So like this is where they could talk about how it feels. Have one of these for soil, have one of these for water. And then this is the effects of shade. So you would want to tell them, this is page 15. Basically what you're doing here is you're doing some compare and contrast. So, the soil felt, did it feel warm or cool in the shade? So this page is all about how it felt in the shade. So if you had a cup of soil in the sunlight, they're supposed to circle here. Well, after you felt the one in the shade, did it feel warm or did it feel cool? Okay? And you want to remind them comparing to how the one in the sun felt, because it's probably not going to be that cool or that cold, but it should be cooler than the one in the sun. Same thing for the sand, same thing for the water. So this is just a simple little assessment of which one did they circle. Hopefully they would have cool for all of them, because they should have all felt cooler sitting in the shade. This is another just kind of little independent assessment that they could do either when you get back to the classroom, or after they complete the investigation. This would be something they could do if other groups are still working. So, circle the one that's warmer, obviously this one, which one would be cooler, the one that doesn't have the sun. And then here's another page. So if this would be a separate experiment, and you might not have this one, but this is a potential experiment that could come up, or it could be a second experiment that you do. You could do a couple of them. This would be if you've had sand and water in the sun, and you just determine which one felt warmer, the sand or the water. And then like if you had the soil and the sand both at the sun, which one felt warmer? Now again, you don't have to do both experiments, but we have different ways that you could go. So if you just did like a cup of sand in the sun and a cup of sand in the shade, you could skip this one. But if this is the experiment your students went with, you could use this one and you would skip some of the previous ones.